worries, but shoot.
I gotta say Wawa. I grew up with Wawa, and I just think the food's better.
Sheets is the best thing to on our planet.
And welcome back, everybody, to another week of PIEA Overwatch 2. First to two best of three coming your way. Not one, but two matches locked and loaded. We have the Central Bucks South coming up on deck up against the Wyoming Valley West. I'm joined by Llama77, and we are here to cover these two fantastic matches. Starting off on Oasis of all things, but otherwise, Llama, you know this, we're coming off of a fresh patch. Some new things are being made in the meta space. So what can we possibly expect going into a map like Oasis?
I think it's just going to be fun, high-flying action. I think especially at the high school level, a lot of these players just love playing what is their favorite hero throughout the day. So getting some of those meta change-ups will be interesting to watch. We've got 10 great players. You mentioned starting on Oasis. We'll head to Push as number 2, Flashpoint as number 3. And if there's some sort of tiebreaker needed, we'll head over to Control to break that tiebreaker. Both of these two teams, though, enter today at a +2 map differential. That means they swept their Week 1 series and are looking good at 1-0.
They sure are. And in the event that we do get a very rare draw, only possible on Push at that 66-meter checkpoint, it's likely, pretty much unlikely we'll get to that, unicorn map 4 of a best of 3, but we can always hope, right? Oasis I love because it really does show so much flexibility in compositions. I think a lot of the control maps do offer that. Lijiang Tower, Busan, Oasis, all really have flexibility in playing a brawl, playing a pseudo poke, or even a dive. Always, I think, is going to be we're going to likely see a dive come out more often, not especially when you want to talk about gardens, you want to talk about city center. Really, University is the one-all be-all for a brawl with an Orisa, a Ramatra as well. You can put a Sojin there. She can kind of click some heads. But like you mentioned, we have a good series on our hands. Central Bucks South will be on deck not once but twice today. They have a match right after this as well. So 2 series. Let's get into it. 10 players ready and loaded in our lobbies. And again, you mentioned, high schoolers want to play what they are comfortable with. And I think in the grand scheme of things, comfort kind of does go a long way and not just playing what is quote unquote meta.
Yeah, I mean, having that comfortability, especially not forcing somebody onto something and say everybody can play what they want. Let's just have some fun. That's the #1 ideal for all 10 of these kids out in lobby. But also, these are two teams that somewhat do have playoff hopes. You go back to 2024, where in fall, both these teams ended 3rd in their conference championships, and then into spring, where they were both inching towards those playoff finals, but never quite made it towards that championship. Trying to bounce back this year, of course, both teams losing some of their starting players on either side. It's interesting to see with new players fitted in. You mentioned Central Bucks South. They've got a great feeder system. Not only will we see their Division 1, but also their Division 2 team here today. So it's going to be some players with experience, but maybe their first time on a big Division 1 stage.
I know, and the stakes are super, super high in that regard, right? You want to make playoffs, you want to get the glory, you want to play on the big stage, of course, right? And get that recognition and that play money, right? But you gotta make it to that point at some point. We are only in week 3, so things always change up. Things can always kind of fall down by the wayside. But yeah, when it comes to the overall match, I do think we're going to have a really solid one, not just from right now, but also later. Again, relatively early on. Players are getting ready. They're ready to go at the same time. So that being said, I am, again, excited to see what we are seeing from our high schoolers today. Because again, especially with you and I, who do look at the pro scene a lot, maybe even collegiate scene a lot, they'd like to play a pretty stable composition regarding the Orisa, maybe Zarya, another character who has been very strong in the tank role as of late. Of course, falling back to a Sojourn, Kiriko Wuyong, the new hero that came out, has been very prominent. And you can see a couple of those names lining themselves up. The Wuyong makes an appearance, a Sojourn making an appearance as well. I'm loving and digging the Ana from Brayden, especially on here, City Center.
5,
Frenchette, the famous diva, as well, will be bringing it out to start off on that tank role. Really good at diving, attacking that backline, and famously had some big moments in the playoffs back in that fall of 2024. For Wyoming Valley, still trying to lock in their 5th hero, but interestingly enough, they have just a ton of damage. You bring out the Bastion, very immobile, but can provide just a ton of chip damage, especially with all of the intricate angles that go into this first control point.
100%, but that diva is going to be the biggest thing between Tree and any sort of success with that defense matrix, kind of mitigating that projectile. That being said, the fight a little bit messier, trying to find some high ground pressure, trying to find that low ground pressure. Tree needs to get healed up by, of course, Chris, who does lock in the Mercy at the end of this day, does get the res off as well, so renders that first pick almost useless for Central Buck South, but they have now regained it by taking out the Cassidy. The anti-nade falls onto the Bastion, and with that being said, it is just a matter of cleaning up the front and back line.
Boy, the tandem duo here of Artie and Ronglong being able to work the close range and far range so well together. Central Buck South was unwavered, saying you can take some space on this first point. We've got the damage to follow up. We don't even need to target the Mercy first. We'll waste that res out very early, and now they've got control of one of the best choke points in the game.
Oh, I love this high ground as well. You already have Artie set up patiently with the decisive shot. You also have the Garner walking out now. Of course, a natural counter to that diva. The anti does scare off the opposition from walking through that main sight line, but now they can start walking with one bubble already extended from not Noah. Both bubbles now offline. The Zarya is high charge, but the damage output is even greater from Frenchette and from Ronglong. Symmetra tries to bunker down in this small room with all 3 turrets, but it does get sought out and quickly shut down by the defenders so far. 50% of the objective already in favor of Buck South.
Central Bucks have a lot of good teams, including their other roster, Central Bucks West and South. They've got all of them together, 3 of the Central Bucks teams, but more importantly, they saved 3 of those ultimates with 2 on deck for this next fight, with still just a ton of information and sightline control.
Oh, he's a double nade from Brayden. I mean, that single-handedly stops the fight here, Llama. You can't do anything with 2 of your teammates dead in a 3v5 situation. Moonslayer chops off, goes over to Kiriko. Chris goes over to Moira this time, but it's unforgiving from Central Buck.
And they save all 5 ultimates. That's the most important part. They've just played their spacing so well, they haven't needed to use any of them. Of course, you don't really get to save them, so why not use them here and just dive forward?
Auto Blasts get used alongside the Death Blossom. I mean, that is just a free entryway for Ronglong to just kind of walk against the back line, and there's absolutely no way for a touch to be seen. The wall was a fruitless endeavor from a Great Chaos. A good idea, but a little bit too late.
Artie was able to control a lot of what that was throughout that first control map, and obviously you've got to win 2 of these sub-maps if you want to win the map in general, and you got to win 2 maps to win the series. So still a lot of series to be played, but for Wyoming Valley West, they're going to need to garner some percentage. They're going to immediately actually change up what the composition looks like, and Tree, especially on this map right here, has a lot of chances to ricochet those bouncing grenades into the back line, but Not Know has to be very careful about who, what, and where they're bubbling.
Oh, I love the Ram pick over here as well. Some stuff's actually happening. You have Tree on Junkrat. You don't really see all that often anymore, besides being a control center on Lijiang Tower of all control points, right? But we're on, first of all, Oasis, and we're also on City Center. So love the high ground that is available to us. The fight starts off almost immediately in the front area. Already seeing Central Bucks rotate over to the point proper and trying to find angles to out-angle Not Noah, to out-angle Tree, avoid these Junkrat bombs. A slow start here, Llama, but it all comes down to an opening pick from either of these DPSs. Might come down to Tree, who does get a little bit too active in that back line and then gets called out by Frenchette on the tank. Chris, unfortunately, not able to find a way away from the opposition either. Taken down by the Quicksters, Wu Yang. At this point, again, another quick cleanup for Central Buck.
We talked about Frenchette being this kind of returning member, but also a captain and leading the charge. Central Buck South, the same exact game plan as that first sub-map. Wait with patience, wait for Tree to make a mistake, and then because they're out of Resurrection Zone, just take down the Mercy next. They've got great aerial damage, and Ronglong switching over to the Genji just diversifies all of their dive potential. Central Buck South with already great control.
100%. Wrong long. I love this Genji so much. The backline pressure you're going to get for free on the character is going to be amazing. And already in that front line, kind of just lays down the pressure in this nice hallway and takes down Tree. Forces the res early from Christus. And finally, a first pick here for Wyoming Valley West, actually forcing the overclock as a response from Ari, now sliding into the opposition. Only whips a tiny bit onto Chris, but Chris Guardian Angels right back into the sightline of Ari. Not know it does get the pummels into the Soldier and does get the trade-off, but we're still in this fight against the D.Va, and at this point, it's a slightly later stagger that Wyoming Valley do not want right now.
Wyoming Valley is just trying to play this front to back, and it's not really working. Fred Jet, Wrong Lung, all just slicing and dicing and having to waste the resurrection early on Not Know as a timer you do not want to burn. Bolas are available. Let's see what Wyoming Valley can do with it.
Should be big, especially the coalition on top of that from Moonslayer, right? But with that being said, we're gonna wait a little bit. Nice little poke phase, a nice little patience from Wyoming Valley trying to find their way in. The shield does go down first in the corner, forcing the objective, but Brayden with some spectacular aim on the Ana does take down the Freya, mitigating the effect of a bola shot even being used in the engagement. The res distracts Chris so long that we can't leave Moonslayer alive. We can't leave everyone else to their devices. Wyoming Valley is sent back to the spawn really early on.
The classic 3-2 setup. Save 3 on the point, send 2 to the back line, and Frenchette gonna use the D.Va Bomb to clean this one up. It's 200 to 0 points as Central Buck South will walk away victorious on map 1.
100%. Very well done. 200% to none from Wyoming Valley West. But that is not the end-all be-all. This is just the first game. And albeit, this is not a best of 5. It's not as forgiving with a bigger series. This is a very quick series. At this point, Central Bucks are at that match point, and we are going to a push after the fact, right? Giving the option of an Esperanza, of a new Queen Street, and a Coliseo. It's Murasapi and Coliseo. So it's like, if you're Wyoming Valley, you have an opportunity to change things up, push very much a different vibe, brings different avenues. So this could be an opportunity to regain some of that confidence back, because Oasis can be very unforgiving, especially when you're not able to play that brawl on University at all.
Yeah, and when you go to a push map, it's going to be more opportunities for them to come to you, different changes of terrain where you're not always having to fight straight into them. But Central Buck South, I mean, you said it, a very short series in a best of 3. They've now got 2 chances to try and close it out. And with the performance that they had on map number 1, would love to generate some momentum into map number 2. Will be interesting to see where Wyoming Valley gets to choose. Not a huge many choices to go for in the push map pool. But if there's one that maybe you like more, maybe the team has been practicing more in towards the offseason, now into the fall season, maybe you select it and could throw the other team off guard.
Well, from the competition that we were seeing from Wyoming Valley with the Ram, more